The code linking XRP to ISO 222 and SWIFT. Before, in a couple outlines, I have given you some research about SWIFT specifically testing XRP in silence. You could call this an update, but I think this has more validity because, in fact, it is the code. Let's get into the material and why it matters to you. First, we're going to start from this publication from a brother in space, Smoke, and then I'll also provide you some of my own key detailed research as well. Starting with Smoke, you will see this. And what is it? Well, he points out the fintechs. Listen closely about this. This is really important. He just released this not that long ago. In fact, he gave me a DM, which I really appreciate. But he points out fintechs like Ripple that have been ISO native from day one have a natural advantage when it comes to ISO 222. ISO 222 compliance since day one equals natural advantage, checkmark. And as usual, it's documented. What does he have? He points out what we just mentioned. Day one, literally. And more importantly, just in case you missed the reference from a while ago, I think I shared this, but there's a whole new wave of people. He points out this. Ripple, we've been aligned with ISO 222 from day one, and we're among the first to adopt it. Ever heard of its first mover advantage? It means leading the way while others catch up. Bullseye. So the next time someone says, quote, Ripple has nothing to do with ISO 222, send them this. Yes, send it away, because the facts do speak for themselves. And Ripple, it has the handshake with ISO 222 since 2004. Well, no kidding, because if anything, it came out the same year SWIFT introduced MX in 2004, and now it's coming to fruition, and it already did technically yesterday. But I'm looking more for the actual traditional banking week, if you will. I think it's going to get really interesting next week, and especially going into the holidays, so on and so forth. So just in case you've never seen this, we're going to play this. This is really good. This is under 2 minutes, about a minute 38. This comes from Payments. This is from actually PYMNTS, but it's pronounced Payments. Listen to this. Hear it for yourself. We'll be back here shortly. Here we go.
High care. In today's payment world, the standards are really different around the world. So if you're using the SWIFT system or TIPS in Europe or Fed in US, you follow a different protocol. In addition, the data that you can transfer, the richness of that data is really limited. So what you get is a bunch of closed networks that don't speak to each other and unstructured data that's opaque. So there's a lot of manual intervention and ultimately a really poor payment experience. With ISO 20022, these problems will be solved. So ISO 20022 is a global standard for financial information exchange. This enables interoperability between different systems, straight-through processing of payments, and rich data transfer. And it'll also foster competition because it's open and flexible. At Ripple, we've been aligned with ISO 20022 from day one. We've always recognized that this is the direction of payments and it'll be better for everyone. And we were really a first mover on that front. We've also joined the standard body to help contribute to how payments will shape in the future. Going back to your point around security, Ripple's also really committed to the highest standards in safety, privacy, and security. And a testament to this is that we have our SOC 2 certification. For those not very familiar with SOC 2, SOC 2 reports give really valuable information about an organization's security capabilities, so each of their customers and users can have confidence in that service, which means that anyone using Ripple's solution knows that we adhere to the most modern security and privacy standards. And in line with that, we've also received our SOC 2 Type 2 report. So not only do we have the policies and processes in place around various criteria related to security, availability, and the integrity of the system, but also that we've been doing so consistently for a period of time.
Decent Wallet has a Black Friday sale. You can get up to 40% off, and this runs from November 20th to December 3rd. Take advantage of this. This is the most bang for your buck. This is the biggest sale of the year. And as you see here, the wallet that has it all, security and simplicity, the best deal, Decent biometric wallet. The 2X package is literally 40% off. And if you look at it, that's down from $318 all the way down to $189, which brings it at $94.5 each. That's a huge, huge savings. If you choose to get one, that has gone down significantly from $159 to $109. But again, the 2X package is the best bang for your buck. You'll also get free shipping. Pick you up a Decent wallet today. Secure your assets. If you don't have them stored in a wallet and sitting on exchange, then you're at risk. So pick you one up today. Thank you. All right, there you go. And with that also said, think about this. Think about what she just mentioned, because even in the findings, it's like, what other references do we have that we can share with everybody that shed a light a little bit more on the whole topic? Well, I hear you on that. It's basically this, and Smoke, man, he does it so well. He makes things so easy. Let's blow this up as well. Smoke points out Ripple emerged in 2004. Again, kind of like what I just mentioned, ISO 222, again, launched 2004. Do you get it yet? Some people still don't. I'll be honest, some people still do not get this for whatever reason. It is what it is, but you do see here, literally in documentation, what he points out. So for one, think about it. Ripple, formalization of remittances. correspondent banking. Older than BTC itself, Ripple emerged in 2004 as a mutual credit network like Hawala, a time bank, or a local exchange trading system, which is called LETS. A little bit more on the topic, and if you're wondering where that source came from, that originally came from Blockchain Technologies and Remittances. It's always good to point that out, and that's literally from frontiersin.org. On top of that, here's the other one. SWIFT ISO 222 migration timeline. I cited this numerous times, but you do see, in fact, it's 2004, and this comes from FXC Intelligence. So that's also worth pointing out, is it not? Absolutely. As we take you further into this outline, what do we also have? We have, quote, XRP's cryptocurrency, nothing to do with traditional finance payments. Hey, I don't typically go after other influencers and so on. This is smoke. It is what it is. This is in relation to Mason versus Louise. Nothing against Mason. But anyway, he's pointing some things out here. He says a quick review of the documentation shows how inaccurate that statement is. And for a lot of people, that is an inaccurate statement. Let's get into that. So for one, let's get into it. Take a look at the report below. Quote, unlike many cryptocurrencies, XRP was created to work within the traditional financial system, aiming to enhance international money transfers by providing liquidity and bridging different currencies. XRP is a digital asset engineer specifically to address long-standing inefficiencies in traditional payment systems. And Smoke's like, this is just too easy. Next? Yeah, like next? Who's next, right? Well, it is what it is. And you got to appreciate this, because I remember even back in debate club years ago, you know, we would do stuff like this, right? So again, don't attack the person, attack the argument. And I think that's what Smoke is doing here. And I like that. That's a good thing. Nothing against, again, Mason versus Elise. I think he does a lot of great work keeping people informed on a lot of things that we cover here, right? So we see here Evolve Cryptocurrencies, and you see here June 17, 2025 report. And again, just like Smoke mentioned, it's literally in the documentation, and it's good to basically reference that. Again, unlike many cryptocurrencies, XRP was created to work within the traditional financial system, aiming to enhance international money transfer by providing liquidity. I mean, come on, think about it. Their main product is on-demand liquidity and bridging different currencies. That's so important. And investors are drawn to XRP due to its utility in facilitating rapid and low-cost international payments. Its adoption by various financial institutions as a bridge currency enhances its value proposition. And again, the right side, this is worth sharing. A well-known company that uses XRP is American Express. In regard to the adoption and institutional interest, which leverages RippleNet to enable real-time cross-border payments for corporate clients. Been reading a ton and speaking a lot lately, so bear with me. Through its partnership with Ripple, American Express uses XRP indirectly via Ripple's infrastructure to facilitate faster, more efficient, or transparent, transactions between the United States and international markets, helping businesses move money efficiently and reduce settlement times from days to seconds. And a disclaimer, I'm going to do it right now. There's going to be a few more people that hop in to the comments, and that's fine. I welcome your comments. I've seen your comments. You keep pointing out that Ripple with XRP cannot scale. There will be an end screen card that will take you to that if you want to learn something. All right, it can definitely scale. In fact, any partner directly with the BIS can connect to a thing called the M10, and that's 1 million plus TPS. I get it. I love BSV. People have been calling me out. Oh, you don't cover BSV enough. Hey, it is what it is. I'm not trying to be part of one club. I'm an investor. But with that said, yes, BSV would be top of my list, but they don't have the partners that Ripple has. They simply do not. Then that's not FUD. But again, BSV is like maybe in the top 5. XRP, Q&T are number 1. Again, the key partners. And I can't stop talking about that because I think that's worth pointing out. On top of that, don't ever forget these key things. What is the M10, et cetera, et cetera. I've done those videos for a reason, because I want people to be informed of another narrative that you may not even be aware of. Getting back into this and why it matters to you is a little bit more from our brother Smoke. So what we have here is this other key area. Smoke points this out. Again, nothing against the crypto police, but the crypto police have stated what? They have stated that Interledger has nothing to do with Ripple. And yet we see numerous new publications that basically do what? Says otherwise. Yes, says otherwise. This comes from coinpaper.com. They point out ISO 222's nod puts Ripple's Interledger on Swift's radar. A new era is set to begin. ISO 222 portal now shows an approved request to activate Ripple's Interledger on the SWIFT network, signaling a major step towards seamless cross-network interoperability just as global migration begins. Again, as global migration begins. And that migration is literally happening when? Well, technically it started yesterday with that mandate, and I would be really interested to see how next week goes. right? Because we need things to kick in gear, get the economy going, so on and so forth, right? Taking you further into this, there's another clipping from Smoke. This one's good. And again, pointing out why all this stuff matters. So for one, let's take you over to here. Smoke posted this literally, was it today? Yeah, earlier today. All this stuff is, for the most part, brand new. XRP, Ripple, and ISO 222 required a nuanced understanding. Quote, banks can coordinate ISO 222 formatted messages and use RippleNet's infrastructure, including possibly the XRP ledger, to help settle transactions. Documented. All right, let's blow this up. And we see here basically what you just said. That all matches up. So that's good to point that out. Now, is that it? No way. No way, Jose. We pull up a little bit more about this. It gets even that much more interesting because, again, Smoke posted this 2 days ago, November 21st. Yep. He says, in case you missed it, the ISO 222 site, yes, the actual site, which is ISO222.org, is showing an approved request to enable Ripple's interledger on the SWIFT network. Oh my goodness. Stop following the crypto police. They keep telling you that Ripple has nothing to do with the interledger. That is nonsense. Just in time for the migration. Okay, so watch this. So for one, as we pull this up, we see plain as day what's going to happen in this video. So I'm going to play the video, draw your own conclusion for yourself. This is also good. And thank you again to Smoke for the finding. Give him a follow. Here we go. All right, so he highlights some of this. And you see the catalog of change requests. Search inside their catalog, and we're going to freeze it right here for just a moment. You see here, for example, all these different ones. Nexo Standards, Crypto Finance, Deutschland, which would basically be what? Germany. We see Mojo Loop. We've done some outlines about Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, obviously, when it comes to Microsoft and so on with Mojo Loop. In fact, I'll try to dig that up and put it on an end screen card for you as well. And again, another reference to Mojo Loop. Play a little bit more about this. He's just highlighting a few things. Yes, payment clearing settlement. It was approved. And bottom line is, like you see from SWIFT, he's going to download it, save it, and so on. And I'm glad he took the liberty to highlight some of these key things. Some of these things kind of, go way past people's heads and so on. Look at this change request for the update ISO 222 financial repository items. You see the change request. You see, again, Mojo Loop. Again, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, Microsoft, et cetera, et cetera. And more importantly, it's understanding, like it says right here, the following types of cryptographics will lock in the supported first instance. And he highlights ILP as an interledger protocol, V4 packet. Again, why point that out? Because we're capturing an internet with what, everybody? The internet of value. Again, capturing a value, capturing what's going on with these internet protocols. And that is important to point out. And again, shout out to BSV. They did it with, was it IPv6, right? So this will be representation of the data element. With the packets described in here, if you choose to get more into it, gets more into some of the nerdy talk, which is fine. And then boom, immediately as he clicked on that link from ISO 222, it goes right to who? Interledger protocol. So again, I cannot pound this home enough. The crypto police called out Jesse. They called out maybe me. I don't know. I don't think so. But again, the evidence is overwhelming. Overwhelming. Okay? Just throwing that out there. Okay, so a little bit more about this. Interledger protocol is what? It's a protocol for sending packets of money across different payment networks or ledger. Well, of course, somebody like SWIFT would probably want to get involved with that, right? Absolutely. And like it points out here, has all the things we talked about, and where he is highlighting the streaming protocol. There's numerous documentations here. But even before he got into that, I actually did want to highlight this part real quick. So you get into... excuse me, this right above here, the simplicity. I just actually want to highlight real quick. The core ILP should be as simple as possible. There is room for significant variability at lower and higher layers of the interledger stack, but the interledger layer is one of the parts, I should say, where widespread agreement is needed for interoperability. Chris Larson highlighted this in the past. All right, simplifying the core, minimize what people need to agree upon, and enable broader adoption. Great find from Smoke once again. And I'm really glad that he clipped this because people need to know about this specifically. All right, as promised, the actual code. Shout out to all you guys who stay the course. So for one, what do we have here? Well, to share this, Smoke points out, and this is new, okay? This is literally yesterday. He says, for anyone who wants to see the actual code linking XRP to ISO 222 and SWIFT, here's direct proof. And I'm going to get more into this. I decided to expand on this. Image 1 shows RippleNet's payment schema referencing the quote, ISO 222 external clearing system identification code list, checkmark. This confirms XRP's infrastructure is built on ISO 222 messaging standards. Image 2, which we'll get to here in a bit, comes from R3 Corda's code base. So again, back to Jesse. I mean, if anything, Jesse was right. Importing modules like XRP payment, XRP settlement, SWIFT service, and SWIFT payment status type. So again, you know, I understand there were some people that disagreed on the Paul Barron network with, what was it, with Jesse? I should say Paul Barron network, well, on that podcast. I like Jake. I think he's a great guy, but he kind of temporarily disagreed with what Jesse was mentioning with Paul Barron in that collaboration. And then, you know, Jesse was like, come on, think about it. You honestly think that R3, you know, that Ripple is going to give R3 all that for nothing? No, it's not for nothing. And here's more proof of why it's not for nothing. So in reality, Jesse knows a thing or two. He studied up on this stuff. All right. So what do you see here? Image 2 comes from R3 Core's code base, importing modules like XRP payment. Again, we just mentioned this. SWIFT payment status type. This places XRP and SWIFT functionality in the same system. And I know when people see R3 Core, you know, immediately think of XTC, and there's nothing wrong with that. But again, clearly you see a connection with R3 and XRP payment. Again, I just want to establish that. This places XRP and SWIFT functionally in the same system. Checkmark. Why this matters? Well, for one, any token or company that wants to operate on the SWIFT network must be ISO 222 compliant. Yet there's people who are they're out there saying, "Oh, it doesn't matter." Okay, you're not reading where you should be reading. I say that politely. This code proves XRP meets the standard. Because XRP is ISO 222 ready and SWIFT relies on those standards, Ripple can technically connect and settle directly with any SWIFT-enabled institution via the XRPL. And right there, it's right there basically in the code. So we're going to blow that up if we can see it a little bit easier. And basically speaking, yeah, you see this. Title, RippleNet Payment Object Supporting Information Schema. Description, RippleNet Payment Object Supporting Information, version 1.15. Going down into the code itself, description list based on ISO 222 external clearing system identification 1 code list. And you go down into this, right? You see many that are part of this list. And basically speaking, when we get to the next page of the code, here's the whopper of them all. And I don't need to blow that up anymore. I think that's big enough. You see specifically what? Import com.r3 Cordis. So again, back to R3. Finance obligation.oracle.services XRP Oracle service, XRP payment, because people are like, oh, it's not going to be XRP, it's just going to be Ripple. Gosh, are we still doing that narrative? XRP settlement and the SWIFT service. So boom, XRP and SWIFT, SWIFT payment status type, and the token type. Gee, I wonder what token type that would be. But boom, it's right there. And that is very crucial to share that and get more into it, so on and so forth. So for one, there is going to be people who are going to point this out. Shout out to this guy. His name is 1A Genzer. He says, basically, I'll give you a follow back. Why not? He says, so 2 accounts I follow and pay attention to are saying the opposite things when it comes to ISO compliant code for XRPL, which is Vincent Van Code. Again, nothing against these people. Just because I point out some things, again, I got nothing against them. And Smoke, we need a meeting of the minds. Okay. Well, I agree with Smoke. One has evidence while the other does not. And that's what I'm going to go with. I'm going to go with the actual evidence. I'm gonna go with the actual research. And again, nothing against these guys. We're all learning. There's some things I can learn too, right? I don't know everything. Never said I did. But again, that's the way I look at it. A little bit more about this. Let's jump into, I believe, what is going to be the last part. So for one, I wanted to point out basically some more things, okay? And I decided, what about from the actual Swift site? Some people say, well, you know, Smoke is just taking a screenshot. Where did it come from? And so on. Well, I thought this was incredibly interesting. I think we established the code, but when I got further into this, I decided to get into Swift. And interesting again, the darn thing seems to be scrubbed. And some people say, well, no, it's just old links, and this happens. True. It says page not found. And I decided, well, you know me, way back time machine. And this is where it gets really interesting. In my own findings with my research, I found this after digging through numerous links that came up with broken links. And for one, it came to the conclusion of this. September 2019 to May 9th, 2023. They did have this. And it's about ISO 222 program, literally from the Swift website. It says ISO 222 program will change the way you send cross-border payments and reporting instructions. Find out what this means for you. And like it says, quality data means quality payments. And here, in my opinion, is the smoking gun. It says ISO 222 is an increasingly established global language for payments messaging, already used by payment systems in over 70 countries In the coming years, it will be the de facto standard. Think about that for high value payment systems for all reserve currencies, supporting 80% of global volumes and 87% of value of transactions worldwide. Okay, I can understand why you scrubbed this. It says by creating a common language and model for payment data, ISO 222 significantly improves the the quality of data across the payments ecosystem. Yeah, because with MT, the old system SWIFT, it had like didn't have many characters to use. Now I believe we can use up to 10,000 characters, so that means a data-rich message. Richer, structured, meaningful data will enable new client experiences while improving compliance and efficiency. ISO 222 is flexible enough to meet the needs of today and those tomorrow. So again, now's the time to start planning. Well, if anything, planning, shoot, we just had a mandate about this. So again, don't ever forget this. I think this is important to understand. When they come out with statements like this, it kind of makes them maybe possibly liable. Who knows? But that was scrubbed, okay? Now, here's another thing that's interesting. Were there any other websites that would kind of reference the concept of a de facto currency? Well, BitGet pointed this out. They said institutional adoption and network effects. The scale of Swiss digital trials involving over 11,500 institutions, which, by the way, kind of matches up with the amount of NDAs, roughly, right? Underscores the growing demand for scalable solutions in cross-border payments. Actually, maybe that doesn't match up with the amount of NDAs. I can't remember if it's 11,700 or 1,700. Whatever the case be, it's just an example. But XRP's adoption by banks and financial intermediaries is accelerating, driven by its regulatory clarity and institutional-grade infrastructure. For example, Ripple's on-demand liquidity model, which uses XRP as a bridge asset to hedge currency pairs. So I'm going to come back in the frame on this for a second. We have heard this narrative numerous times. In fact, it should be put on a bumper sticker. Remember back in the days, the bumper stickers? Yeah, that was the thing, right? Well, it should be on a bumper sticker. If the label of Bitcoin being, quote, a hedge against inflation, then XRP moving forward should be what? A hedge against money printing. Check out some of my deep dives about XRP and gold. Check out Jesse's deep dives, especially recently, about XRP and gold. And you will come to a fundamental reasoning of like, this does kind of make sense. Of course it does. Taking you further into this, about this bridge asset to hedge currency pairs, look what is mentioned here. And it gets a little bit more deeper. If SWIFT's trials confirm XRP's viability, the asset could become a de facto standard for real-time gross settlements, RTGS systems, creating a flywheel effect as more institutions adopt the technology. I couldn't agree more with that. XRP's role as a bridge asset is particularly compelling in Forex markets, where liquidity constraints and currency mismatch costs plague traditional systems. By enabling same-day settlements and reducing reliance on pre-funded accounts, XRP can unlock trillions and trap capital for banks. Why aren't more people pointing this out? Analysts estimate that even a 1%, just 1% shift in SWIFT's 150 trillion annual volume to XRP-based solutions could generate 1.5 billion in transactional demand for the asset, directly boosting its utility and price. There you have it. That's important. And then this part, this dynamic is further amplified by Ripple's strategic partnerships, such as RLUSD initiative, which integrates stablecoins into XRP's ecosystem to facilitate seamless fiat to crypto conversions. Again, not competing with RLUSD or the other way around, complementing it, right? Absolutely. Here's another one. This is taken from LinkedIn, and I think this is also important to share. Ripple did share this, I believe, not too long ago, right? It says, get ready for new season. You have Monica Long, Crypto in a Minute. You have David Schwartz. You have Chris Larson. That's not the point. But this comment really stood out to me. This person, who is Juan Miguel Valverde, he's basically from a company that's referred to as Valcorp. He pointed out this, and I think it's a great quote. He says, the time is quickly approaching, again, this is from LinkedIn, when the Ripple cryptocurrency XRP will emerge as the dominant force in global financial transactions. As the world's financial institutions continue to recognize the unparalleled speed, efficiency, and cost-effectiveness of the XRP ledger, we will witness a tipping point where XRP becomes the de facto standard for cross-border payments and remittances. Ripple's strategic partnerships with leading banks and payment providers, combined with XRP's inherent advantages over traditional systems like SWIFT, will drive widespread adoption of this innovative cryptocurrency. The decentralized blockchain-based nature of XRP, coupled with its ability to facilitate near-instant settlements, will make it an irresistible choice for financial institutions seeking to future-proof their operations and stay connected in or ahead of the curve. So you think about it, future-proof. Even Quant, what are they looking to do? Future-proof everything, right? Again, Quant, Internet Trust, Ripple with XRP, Internet of Value. And that is so worth pointing out. So basically, there you have it. That's an outline. Glad to basically get into this with you guys and share it with you all. So do me a favor by typing in this key phrase into the comments, and it's de facto, which is DE space FACTO, de facto. And I'll know that you listen to the entire outline because it gives me great feedback of who was just jumping to the comments, doing whatever, not even paying attention, and the ones who are truly paying attention. Be glad that you did pay attention. Follow people like Smoke. Follow people like Jesse and others that I'm networked with because they're all great deep dive researchers in their own way. Saying goes, know what you have, know why you hold it. The research trumps FUD 110%. This is Sunday. So with that said, may the Lord Jesus bless you all. We'll see you on the next one. Over and out.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
I have many friends that are earning every single day trading futures on BTCC. It's a simple process, and even if you don't want to learn how to trade, you could follow a trader on the site and let him do the trading for you. And again, I'm not trying to have any of you guys use your hard-earned money to lose anything. You don't know what you're doing? Don't jump into this, but there is money to be made, and don't use your nest egg for leverage trading. Use a separate portfolio. BlackRock has opened up a disclaimer. This is not Larry Fink BlackRock, not that type of BlackRock. As you see here, he has 1471 out of 1500. His copy trading slots have been full for the longest time. So a few have opened up. So again, a call to action with him. He's up about 216%. And this is the lead trader's 30-day profit and loss ratio. On top of that, he has a win rate of 95.31%, which I believe is higher than anybody out there. And he has assets under management of 85,180. So of all the people I've looked into, he has the most to lose. Always follow the guys that have a lot to lose, not somebody who's just trying to come in with $500 or something like that. So check that out if you choose to do so, not financial advice. On top of that, let's take a look into his performance lately. Last 7 days, he's been crushing it. He's at 100%. And on top of that, as you also see here, we see that he is a professional trader, like he's pointed out. He has been doing trading for the last 3 years. He only takes trades when he is sure to win that. And he, of course, uses stop loss. So again, I would recommend use stop loss for yourself. Don't get too greedy with some of this. If you notice you're 2 or 3x up, uncopy the trader so you can take those profits. If you need a guide on futures trading or any of that stuff, I have a guide on the Patreon and it will walk you through step by step. On top of that, you do see here his performance lately as of the 16th through the 17th, and he's absolutely crushing it. You see here he has a closing P&L ratio, which means profit and loss, up 632%, another one 749%, another one for 1,438%. Again, if this is not your thing, I totally get it, but I thought I'd point that out. But I suggest learn how to trade, earn you some extra money on BTCC. It's easy. You don't have to KYC, and you don't have to use a virtual private network VPN. This is a wonderful site. They've been around since 2011. Give them a shot. Also, when you earn that extra money, you can store that on your Decent wallet.